My fellow Americans.
The 2010s, a decade in which the internet has become bigger than it ever was compared to the late 2000s. Digital media had become bigger than it's ever been. YouTube had become the biggest video sharing platform. Social media has become the quickest medium of social networking. Technology has advanced. Streaming services have overtaken cable TV. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin have increased tremendously in value. And so much more has happened, but we're not here to talk about the 2010s.
Tonight I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak. It started in China and is now spreading throughout the world.
5 years is a long time, but after 2020, 5 years feels like 5 minutes. Back in the day when YouTubers would react to their old videos, their videos at most was 2 to 3 years ago. Remember that Chris Rock slap? That was 3 years ago. Remember when KSI and Logan Paul launched that medicine? That was 3 years ago. Why do we still remember this year despite it being half a decade ago?
I have no knowledge of any of this! This is so bizarre! Vocal percussion on a whole nother level, coming from my mind. Vocal percussion on a whole nother level, coming from my mind.
YouTube would comply to the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. This was a federal law passed in the US on October 1998 and was signed into law on April 21st, 2000. This law was passed to protect the privacy of children under 13 years from the dark side of the internet. Despite there being a YouTube Kids app, there were still children under 13 that access regular YouTube. Because of this, the Federal Trade Commission fined YouTube and Google $170 million for violating COPPA, as collecting personal information from these children without the consent of parents has become feasible on the platform. In response to the settlement, YouTube implemented changes to the platform, such as labeling whether your content is made for kids or not made for kids. If your content is made for kids, you will not have personalized ads to prevent non-child friendly ads. Your comment section and live chat will be disabled to prevent hate bombing or harassment. This is all done to prevent data collection of these children. This was basically the apocalypse for kids channels.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
The Indonesian capital of Jakarta would be flooded due to heavy rainfall, displacing 175,000 people and killing at least 53 people. The Australian bushfires, which was one of the most catastrophic wildfires in decades, killed 23 people, with 6 people going missing on Kangaroo Island. Iranian General Qasem Soleimani was killed by a drone strike near Baghdad International Airport on January 3rd. According to the US administration, the assassination was self-defense, as Soleimani was designated as a terrorist after the attacks orchestrated by him against America during the Iraq War back in 2003. Chinese professors Zhang Yongzhan have the genome of the SARS-CoV-2 for health professionals to learn more about. More on that later. A 6.4 magnitude earthquake strikes Puerto Rico, which was the island's largest earthquake in 100 years, killing at least 1 person and damaging 800 homes. Iran would initiate Operation Martyr Soleimani to avenge the late general, launching 22 ballistic missiles at 2 air bases in Iraq. The strike was the largest ballistic missile attack ever against the US forces abroad, which caused 110 service members to be diagnosed and treated for traumatic brain injuries.
The United States took an act of war against Iran. It will have to be prepared for the consequences. Arrogance and ignorance, when combined, it's disaster.
A Ukrainian flight was shot down by the Iranian armed forces, killing 176 passengers on board. It was discovered that Diego, the 100-year-old giant Galapagos tortoise, has high libido. In other words, he can still bust inside some tortoise punani and still have kids, and was discovered to have over 2,000 offspring. The Taal volcano, located in the Philippines, erupts, forcing people to evacuate from their homes. This was considered the second most active eruption in the Philippines. Scientists have discovered the world's oldest material on Earth that is around 7.5 billion years old from a meteorite that fell on Earth in the 60s. A 2.2 billion-year-old asteroid was found in Yarrabuba, Australia, which was considered the reason why the Ice Age ended. Annabella Sora testifies in court that former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein gave her an essay during the winter of 1993 to 94 at her apartment. Wuhan, a city in China with a population of 9 million, goes on a lockdown due to an epidemic that would forever change this year and life forever. The coronavirus disease 19. Though we are talking about the events of 2020, we're gonna take this moment to talk about the history of the coronavirus, as it's been discovered before majority of us were even alive.
Let's travel back even further to the year 1965, when the British Medical Journal reported the discovery of the coronavirus. At the time, it was reported to cause a common cold, and was discovered by former British virologist David Tyrrell, who was known for discovering viruses that causes the common cold, of which coronavirus was one of them. The reason why it was named coronavirus was because corona is Latin for crown, and the virus had a crown-like appearance. Fast forward to the year 2002, when the severe acute syndrome coronavirus outbreak, or SARS-CoV-2, infected over 8,000 people from 30 countries in China and resulted in 774 deaths worldwide. This outbreak lasted from November 16, 2002 to May 19, 2004, and was discovered on March 2003. It was a virus caused by a disease called severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. At the time, the cause of the virus wasn't known, and was theorized to originate from influenza. Fast forward to 2005, when researchers from Australia, China, and the US discovered that it most likely originated from bats. Fast forward to the year 2012, when the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS, was discovered by Egyptian physician Ali Mohammed Zaki, of which the symptoms were fever, cough, and shortness of breath, and was labeled as camel flu. Now, MERS causes MERS-CoV-2, which stands for Middle East Respiratory Syndrome-related coronavirus. Now, both these viruses originated from bats and are COVID-related. Fast forward to December of 2019, when COVID was gaining traction, mainly in Wuhan, and was thought to be SARS-CoV-2, and originated from the open-air markets and also known as wet markets, where fresh meat is sold. And
1 month later, here we are. British scientists have recreated the voice of a mummy by the name of Nesyamun through 3D printing. Here is severe rainstorms hit Brazil with landslides killing 30 people, evacuating over 2,500 people from their homes. Many homes were ruined under mud, and many victims would get buried in these landslides. American basketball player Kobe Bryant had passed away on January 26th at age 41 due to a helicopter crash in California alongside his 13-year-old daughter Gianna Bryant and her teammates and their parents. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have hosted a press conference to discuss a plan to resolve the Israel and Palestine conflict. SARS-CoV death toll has risen to 170 with over 7,700 cases, only a month after COVID was discovered. As a result, the World Health Organization, or WHO, declares COVID-19 as a public health emergency. American YouTuber Jake Paul and British YouTuber Anisong Gibb would fight. Gibb was defeated via technical knockdown on the first round. Jake Paul would call out KSI for a fight, of which they both faced each other off after the fight, hinting that KSI vs Jake Paul fight was on.
Does anyone give a shit about KSI versus Jake anymore? I don't. I'm done. I'm done with this fight. I think it's not put to bed. It's not gonna happen. And, I'm sorry.
This was also the warmest month in 4 years, with a whopping 1.14 degrees Celsius or 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Some of the memes this month were COVID-19 memes, sad Linus, Draw 25, and I'm asking for your financial support.
The Gatorade protein bar makes me shit my pants.
Thank you, Greg.
Chimpanzee bananini chi la fa se le stray. Piccione macchina lilla rilla. Bombombini cugini. Frigo cammello. Boneca ambala. Sakura. Pot hotspot trippi troppi talpa di ferro. Bombardino, crocodilo, brr brr patapi. Cappuccino, assassino, ballerina cappuccina. Tum 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 sahur. Svini